Good morning, class. This is Teacher Jovi, and I'm going to discuss today the Renaissance art and the development of humanism. So, in the Renaissance period, spanning from 1400 to 1600, was marked by a revival of art and culture, drawing inspiration from Greek tradition. So, in the Renaissance, Renaissance first is a French word which means rebirth. So the artwork during this period was inspired by the Greek artist tradition. Although they became more worldly, they portrayed individuality, and the value of human being was its motivating factor. So the artists were interested in this period in showing the human character and the capabilities of mind and body, social relationships, economic traditions, and the people's place in political life. In the Renaissance period class, the the people here, or the human being in this period, are being, or they achieve to the highest potentials by applying perfections of beauty and by practicing intellectual exchanges, exploration, and experimentation. This is why the Renaissance period is called or referred to as the age of humanism. Okay, class, I have three words here that are related to Renaissance, or these are the main words that are parts are related to Renaissance. First is wealth, second is individualism, and third is materialism. So these words are connected because materialism and individualism drove the people to acquire more wealth. So in Italy, they became the center. So the Italy, or the place Italy, they became the center of cultural activities. As a result, the wealthy patrons surrounded themselves with art. So they constructed palaces and housed elaborate sculptures. So they commissioned some artists to do their portraits and paint religious painting, which their image is included, or their image were included. As in the case of Adoration of Maggie, where artist Botticelli included the patron of Medici family. So because of that, the Renaissance artists were challenged by the patrons to show humanism in their artwork. So to emphasize the form, you know what's form, right? So to emphasize form, they showed lines that were clearly defined. They also explored the use of linear perspective to show depth. Inspired by new discoveries in science exploration, the artists employed rules of perspective and foreshortening with mathematical exactness. This is evident in the Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper, if you are familiar with his artwork.
Okay, class, since you already had a background about the Renaissance art as well as the development of humanism, this time let's go deeper as we examine the different form and style that the artists in Renaissance period usually use or apply in their compositions or artworks. Now, last week we discussed about the seven elements of arts, right? Okay, during the Renaissance period, all the seven elements is already existing. This time, let's start by determining the elements or how these elements is being used by the artist during the Renaissance period. Now, for the element, the line, they use it for them to define shapes as well as to create the movements as well as to convey motions within their compositions or artworks. In terms of shape and form, the artist usually use this for them to form or to give structure and depth to their compositions. And they all often use techniques they call chiaroscuro. I think you're familiar with it. For them to enhance the realism within their artworks. In terms of the element of texture, they played they apply or they use the element of texture as the most important element in their artwork. Texture played a crucial role in adding a visual interest as well as conveying a tactile qualities of the objects or the subject matter that they want to depict in their artworks. In terms of color, Renaissance artists use color to evoke the mood as well as to symbolize meanings and to create harmony and contrast within their artworks. On the other hand, in terms of space, understanding of perspectives or understanding this element allow them to create the illusion of depth, and in space it allows them to create a two-dimensional surfaces which also help them to enhance the realism within their artworks. In terms of the movement, a movement was depicted through the arrangement of figures, the use of flowing lines, as well as the dynamic compositions that brings life to their artwork. Now, aside from all the seven elements, the artists in Renaissance period also use principles of organization. Okay, if there is no organization in an artwork, okay, the artwork seems to be chaotic, right? Now, during the Renaissance period, principles of organization that they use includes the unity, the harmony, variety, rhythm, proportion, balance, and perspective. Now, let's discuss how these elements of art as well as these principles of organization is being used or applied by famous artists during the Renaissance period. Let's talk about Sandro Botticelli first, which his artwork is entitled The Birth of Venus. You're familiar with Venus, right? Venus is the goddess of beauty. Now, in terms of symbolism, in his masterpiece, Botticelli portrays the methodological birth of Venus. It symbolized the beauty, the love, and the fertility. So, as you observe the picture on the right side, the blowing winds, Venus to shore symbolize her divine origins, while the arse waiting to cover her with a reddish garment, it represents the passage of time. Now, for the use of color, Botticelli strategically uses color to emphasize certain elements in a painting. Okay, observe the reddish garment on the right side if you are facing the artwork. So, the reddish garment breaks the monotony of the palette and it dominates most part of the painting, right? It draws our attention to Venus, which add a vibrancy to the composition. So, with the use of color, Botticelli was able to make Venus really the focal point of his artwork. In terms of elements, the lines play a crucial role in defining the figures that suggest the movement of the objects or the movement of the person in the artworks, particularly in the flowing drapery and the rhythmic patterns of the waves. So these elements contributes the overall sense of the grace and the elegance of the artworks. Now, for the texture, Botticelli employs both the rough and the smooth texture to differentiate between various objects. So adding a tactile realism to the painting, the softness of Venus' skin, so as you can observe, it seems like Venus is really flawless, right? So it contrasts with the roughness of the sea foam and the waves, which create a more interesting visual of the artwork. Now, another a famous artist is Leonardo da Vinci, and his famous artwork is entitled The Last Supper. I know that even in elementary you already encountered this artwork of Leonardo da Vinci, right? Now, in the depiction and the symbolism of The Last Supper of Leonardo da Vinci, This masterpiece of him depicts the moment when Jesus Christ announces that one of his disciples will betray him. So Jesus is positioned at the center of the composition, as you can observe, right? So with his head emphasized by the light. So even though Jesus is not position, his head is not positioned straight. His head is being emphasized because of the light that comes from the window. So it symbolizes his divine presence and significance. For the use of colors, Leonardo da Vinci utilized dominant colors such as green and red in the clothing of the apostles. As you can observe, maybe these colors symbolize the different aspect of personalities or the rules of these apostles within the story or the narrative. In terms of perspective, the mastery of Leonardo in perspective, he creates the illusion of a wide and spacious room, which, if we look at the painting, our attention will really draw into the scene. So it seems like the place where in the Last Supper happened. It seems like it's a long hallway or a long corridor, right? It is because of how Leonardo used perspective in that artworks. Okay, since we already discussed about the elements and how it is used by the two famous artists in Renaissance period, through our analysis of these two artworks, we gain insight into how Botticelli and Leonardo da Vinci skillfully employed all the seven elements of art and the principles of organization to create a visual and stunning as well as thematically rich masterpieces. Their works continue to inspire and captivate audience even if centuries already passed. So it showcase the enduring legacy of the Renaissance period in the history of art.
Now let us move on to the characteristics of Renaissance painting. First is we have time of great changes, integration, discoveries, and human experiences. So the painting from the Renaissance period are more likely to seek inspiration from the human experiences. So utilization of lines for smooth flowing motion, integration of linear perspective, and for shortening for illusion of space. Aside from that, we have also use of light, shadow, and proportion in human anatomy. And lastly, is we have renewed aspiration to portray beauty of nature. So aside from seeking inspiration from the human experiences, so the painting from the Renaissance period are also getting inspiration from the beauty of nature.
Good day, class. I am Teacher Renz and I will discuss to you the next part of the discussion, which is the three famous artists during the Renaissance period. So there are three famous artists. The first one is Leonardo da Vinci, the second one is Michelangelo Buonarroti, and the third one is Rafael Sanzio. So let's first discuss the first one, which is Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci, his full name is Leonardo di Ser Piero da Vinci. He was born in the year 1452 and died in the year 1519. So Leonardo da Vinci's paintings contributed to the academics during the Renaissance period, specifically the physics, the chemistry, biology, anatomy, and etc. There are other subjects where he contributed using his paintings. So um, Leonardo da Vinci is a very intelligent person because it can in his journal there are sketches of flying machines. So to think he created frameworks for the flying machines. And then also in he has a kept secret journals. Class, in his kept secret journals, the notes there are written invertedly. You can only read it if you use a mirror. You will Just like with the ambulance vehicle, you can see the inverted word ambulance there. You can only read it if you're looking at the mirror of your car. So that is how Leonardo da Vinci wrote his notes in his secret journals. It's still a mystery to the experts why Leonardo da Vinci wrote it that way. So, Leonardo da Vinci, during his childhood days, he is a very talented child already because he sculpted heads of smiling women. Imagine when he's still a child, he already sculpted the heads of smiling women. So let's proceed to his famous paintings. The first one is, I know you already know this painting, the Mona Lisa portrait. It was um, it was made by Leonardo da Vinci in the year 1507. And if you wonder who is the person in Mona Lisa portrait, her name is La Gioconda. La Gioconda. That is the name of the woman in the portrait. So, Mona Lisa is painted in oil on wood, and then it is now in the Louvre Museum. Louvre Museum. Leonardo da Vinci is recognized by his and other famous painting, which is the Last Supper. So let's proceed to the next famous artist, I mean. His name is Michelangelo Buonarroti. His complete name is Michelangelo di Lodovico Buonarroti Simoni. So that is his complete name. So Michelangelo was born in the year 1475 and died in the year 1564. Michelangelo is a painter, sculptor, and an architect. So he used fresco technique for almost 4 years. This is fresco is a technique where you will use wet plaster and then you'll put it on a wall, and then you'll apply the paint so that the colors will seem like it is in a vibrant and shiny. If this is the fresco from the word fresh. Yes. So Michelangelo developed goiter due to long periods of painting. I'll tell you why he developed. Because of the painting in the ceiling of Sistine Chapel. It was commissioned by Pope Julius II. So he developed the goiter because he has to stretch his neck just to reach the ceiling of the chapel. It's very dangerous for Michelangelo because he has to climb the scaffolding every day just to paint the ceiling of Sistine Chapel. And also, Michelangelo is known for this other painting, the Creation. The name of the painting is Creation because Michelangelo read the Bible, and then he created the painting Creation where it is depicting Adam and God's hand. This is the picture, the painting, the Creation. So let's now proceed to the third artist, which is Rafael Sanzio. Rafael Sanzio, also known as, his complete name is Raffaello Sanzio da Urbino. That is his complete name. So, Rafael was born in the year 1483 and he died in the year 1520. So, when he was still young, He worked in Florence. Then he moved to Rome at the age of 26. He painted portraits and methodological images. I will show you later the examples of these paintings. Then his style is characterized by harmony and restraint. So, Raphael, when he was still in Florence, he created the different versions of Virgin with Christ Child. That is the name of his painting, Virgin with Christ Child. He create many version of this. This is one of the example of the versions that he created. And the famous work of Raphael is this one, the School of Athens. So in this artwork of Raphael, um, the School of Athens, he depicted Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, Alexander the Great, Euclid, Epicurus, and Pythagoras. So the School of Athens, he depicted all those person there. So those are the famous artists during the Renaissance period. As of your attendance, you will upload a picture, submit a picture. For krypton, you will submit a picture of a yellow flower. For helium, you will upload a picture of a red flower. For neon, you will upload a picture of white flower. And for xenon, you will upload a pink flower. So that's all for this discussion class. I hope you will watch the video. I hope you listen and learn something because we will have a quiz on Thursday. That's all for today, class. Goodbye and thank you. God bless and take care.